Want to make a better podcast? Listen to a lot of podcasts that are better than yours. Here's a simple technique that will make you a more productive podcast listener without monopolizing your time. Hello and welcome to another Podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. I am constantly amazed the number of podcasters who want their show to grow or who want their show to improve, but they themselves don't listen to podcasts. Or if they do, it's a tiny, single-digit number of podcasts. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. If you want to get better and you want your show to improve, you have to listen to lots of different podcasts. Yes, the podcasts that are in your particular genre or field, but also lots of other podcasts doing lots of other weird things that may not even make sense to you. So that means you've got to find time to listen to all of those. And when is that going to happen, Evo? It's not like I have a monopoly. It's not like I have an abundance of time. None of us do. We have 24 hours a day. We live in a time-scarce world. So today, I'm going to do one of those rare how-to episodes of Podcast Pontification to tell you exactly how I managed to get through 114 different podcasts I am subscribed to. Not a made-up number, just looked on the app before I got here. This trick, by the way, has nothing to do with increasing the speed at which you listen to shows. Look, that's your preference. Whatever speed you want to listen to, 1.5, double time, 0.5, normal, fine. Knock yourself out. It will also work on just about, he said with an asterisk, any podcast listening app. They should all do what I'm going to tell you about right now. This isn't a specialized trick. It may be called something different, but you should be able to do this with whatever dedicated podcast listening app you are utilizing. Okay? So, here's what we're going to do. Oh, and one more thing. One more key thing about this technique. This is non-destructive. You are not going to lose any content. So even if you try this and it fails miserably, you will not have any rework to do. You will not have lost a single episode. Everything is still in your library as it was before. I'm not suggesting making that fundamental of a change. This is just a filtering change. So let's get into it. So the first thing you got to do, go through your podcast lists and, well, in your head, don't actually go through the list of shows you're subscribed to on your app, but first figure out and separate, classify, if you will, the shows you listen to in one of two different groups. Now, group number one is comprised of episodes of shows that must be listened to sequentially. So I'm thinking about podcast fiction and audio drama, obviously. Look, you don't want to listen to chapter 17 if you haven't listened to chapters 5 through 16, right? That makes no sense to start in the middle. Also, educational content, if you're trying to learn about something, maybe it's a history show, maybe it's something else, maybe it's truly education-based where you are listening also where sequence matters. You can't really just bounce around. That's one. Journalistic deep dives where they go over a 5 or 15 episode arc to tell a complete story. Okay, those need to be listened to sequentially. So think about them as one group. And then the other group is everything else. I mean, really, everything else. And that's what we're going to do. A way to start thinking about that outside of podcasting is this. Pretend you've just been on vacation for 3 weeks somewhere and you come back home. When you open up your mailbox, if you didn't get the post office to stop sending you mail, or even if you do and they resume mail, you're going to get a lot of mail all at once. And you're going to you're going to triage all that content and toss a lot, right? A lot of the things that come in the mail you don't need, I don't need, so you're going to triage and only save the things that you do. Okay, that's one thing for real world. Second thing is, think about the magazines and newsletters that have piled up while you've been gone. You're going to prioritize them, right? You're not going to start from the first episode or the first edition of a magazine you got, if it comes out on a weekly basis, and read 3 before you get there. No, probably not. Or if you do, you're going to prioritize to do that stuff later. Same thing, come back from watching TV, you're binge watching the series that you are wanting to, obviously to get caught up on, but not news programs. You just start with the most recent one, right? Okay, all right. I'm getting there. Trust me. Getting back to podcasting in a second. This is part of the reason why social media uses algorithms, because you really can't catch up on everything. If you're watching YouTube videos and you've been away for 3 weeks and you've been ignoring that little notification, you're not going to start from the scratch. You're going to start from where you get what I'm saying, right? Of course, you wouldn't do that with books and movies. If the third series or the third movie in a series comes out and you haven't watched 2, you're not going to watch 3. You're going to watch 2 first. That's why we have all these subscription services, right? Books, if you've brand new to a series and it's on book 6, you're not going to start at book 6. You're going to start with 1, 2, then work your way up, right? I mean, that's just the way we think about it, right? All right. All right, here's what we're going to do once we've got those classifications made, right? So you're going to make a brand new playlist or a station or a channel or whatever it happens to be called in your app. Go look for it. You're going to make a new one of those. And in that new channel, group, station, playlist, whatever, you're going to add the everything else stuff. Not the things you have to listen to sequentially, but the everything else. You're going to make a list for that. So you're going to add every podcast that's not sequential into that list. And here's the trick. You're only going to include the most recent episode in that station or playlist. And remember, all your episodes are still there, but for this view, this playlist, only include the most recent episode. Okay? And then, part 2, sort that so that the most recent episode of all the episodes you have will be on the top. So the first thing that's listed is the most recent episode. Things you haven't listened to yet will continue to back down and down and down. Now, I do this, and I have 38 different shows in this category. I call it main in my stations. That's what I'm utilizing. There are 38 shows in there, and I've been doing this for weeks now. And right now, my queue has 7 episodes in it. That's it. 7 episodes. And I'll be caught up on those all throughout the day. It had 8 before I listened to 1 this morning, but throughout the day, before tonight, I'll probably catch through all those. And if I don't, no worries. That might mean that if I miss a show for a week, I'm only going to see 1. I'm going to say the most recent episode, and that's okay. Part of the trick here is monitoring the situation. Oh, and by the way, if I do miss an episode in my main feed, it's not gone. I can go to that specific podcast in my feed and see all the episodes that I've missed. So if I want to back up and catch up, I can do that. But in this main feed, in this main section, this station I'm listening to, it's only the most recent stuff. It's where I prioritize my listening. And I found out by doing this that some I keep skipping week after week. And if that's the case, well, maybe that show's not all that important to me. Or it could be that, and in some cases, it's been where I shouldn't have put that show in there. It actually was sequential. I just wasn't thinking about it properly. So I moved it out because it's not really helpful. When I've got time to sit and think and listen and really dissolve and engage in a content, that's when I go listen to the not in this main feed stuff. Right? That's the way it is. And I also have ran out of shows from this feed. Well, I go find new ones, and I put it in here and see if they actually work, and I keep it managed. Look, it's really helped me power through a lot more shows. I'm consuming a lot more content. Hopefully, this is something you can easily implement today, because it's good to power through more podcasts in less time. It's good to be exposed to new ideas and thoughts out there. So, hope you got a lot out of that. I also hope you will visit buymeacoffee.com/evoterra. If you liked this advice and you like the deep philosophical dives I do go on a regular basis. Oh, yes, and by the way, this show should totally be in your main queue. You can catch up on the back stuff whenever you want. That's perfectly fine. So buymeacoffee.com/evoterra. And also tell one other podcasting friend about Podcast Pontifications. This show only grows by your word of mouth to other podcasters you know, so please share with them. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. No episodes from me on Friday, so also enjoy your weekend. I've got something scheduled on Monday, so I'll be back on Tuesday. Holy cow, that was a lot. For another Podcast Pontifications. Cheers.